Hey, everyone, this is Andy Hall. This is the Open Room post Disappointing Cat Morning Show. No one's with me right now. That doesn't mean other people will not pop in, but I have a 10-minute rule. If no one else pops in 10 minutes, I close the show out. So that's good, right? Because you don't want to see me do a monologue for like an hour. Because I have to tell you, I'm not Bill Burr, and I don't know if you've listened to Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast. Hey, what's up, Wildine? Bill Burr can just talk into the void for like an hour, 2 hours, or whatever, and it's highly entertaining. Me, I'm not Bill Burr. I can just pretty much maybe be entertaining for 10 minutes, banging my head up against the wall before, I run out of gas, basically. My second cup of coffee this morning. This gets the brain juices going, to tell you the truth. The girlfriend is about to load her bike into her vehicle. Hey, what's up, Bonnie? I was thinking, I was thinking about, and tell me if this would if this would work. I'm not a woman, but I know there aren't many. I know that there's a fair amount of women who are in the chat on a regular basis. But when it comes on to like the after party, after show, there just isn't a lot of women around on the panel. And so I was thinking about maybe just doing a special kind of like open room or a discussion group or something on the channel, for people who are in this community who are women, but don't, and just for women, basically. I wouldn't even be on the show. It would just be something that if you all wanted to do something, that's just an idea I've had. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. Sammy, 420 Atheist, how are you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
I had to ask you something. Let me check my notes.
All right.
Oh, I missed your first story.
Oh, that's
right here.
The evangelical, white evangelicals diminishing here in the States. Yeah.
Well, I've written the first story was white evangelicals in decline.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to ask, what's the catch?
What's the catch? That's good. So the catch is that, and you can see why. I mean, white evangelicals have always been aggressive. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll just go with aggressive. As their numbers decrease and as they see their numbers decreasing, I think that this is an unreasonable thing to say, and this is obvious. In fact, is that the likelihood that there'll be a naked grab for power is much higher. Much like in the classic example is Iran, right, during the 1970s. It was a modernizing society, becoming more Western. I'm not saying that Western society is fantastic, but women were sharing equal rights. They didn't have to cover themselves. And then once, the Ayatollahs came in, everything, went back to the Bronze Age and went back to the Iron Age. So that's what I'm afraid. That is what concerns me here in the States, is that we basically get a power grab by evangelicals, an evangelical oligarchical kind of axis, and then we get the Handmaid's Tale or something similar to that.
So, in a nutshell, you're worried that the more extreme ones will just fill up the vacuum.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm afraid of too is that atheists here and agnostics and other secularists just get lazy and complacent, right? Lazy and complacent because they hear this kind of narrative that it's predetermined that we're going to win. It's only a matter of time before we become like Denmark or Norway, and it's like that's not true. That's definitely not true.
No, and you'd think the last 4 years should be all the evidence someone needs, but
yes, you would think so. You would think so.
I think we're also we're raising a new generation of people where the most popular person is the most revered person and the person who is perceived to be the most correct. Like I've had conversations with my buddies' kids, and I've said, "What do you want to be when you get older, when you grow up, what sort of a field do you want to move into? What do you want to do? And they said, I want to be popular on the internet. I want to be popular on Facebook. I want to be popular on YouTube. Yeah. For what? What do you want to do? Well, I want to have a good channel with lots of likes and lots of shares. No, but what are you going to do on your channel?
Yeah.
And they just have no clue. They're not raised in an environment where that is an endpoint to the thought process, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's frustrating.
Like, are you going to do makeup, nails, clothes? What are you going to do? How are you going to compete with the people out there doing it now? How are you, what's your plan? Are you going to do Instagram? Are you going to, are you going to launch a new social media platform that's geared towards just that? Or, what's your future look like?
Yeah.
I want to be popular. Like, okay.
Oh, okay. But that's a Faustian bargain right there, wanting to be popular, right? Many times it can be a Faustian bargain. And how old are the kids when you're talking to? How old the kids are you talking to, Dave?
Just before graduation, so 17, 18 years old.
Wow.
I know, right? How frightening is that?
I was thinking
See, I've had those exact conversations with my 10 and 12-year-olds when they were that age. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, they think they're going to be YouTube famous or whatever, gamers. By 13, they quickly realize they don't have the skill or the drive or the means. So, they quickly get over it. But to hear that, teens that old are still that deluded.
Yeah.
I have to admit, they were from I would say a median to higher income level family, and they were mostly female. There was a couple of males in the group that I talked to whose parents had got them into trades, who were actually going into apprenticeships. But none of the women were. None of the females were. Their biggest concern was how many likes and shares they have on social media.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, and those people are voters, and they're using the epistemology of who's the most popular. Like, I want to be on the team that wins. That's what they're thinking, right?
Right. Are these Canadians, Dave?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, not all of them, but mostly, yeah. There was a couple of, well, they're all from the Pacific Northwest, which is, not your Florida American.
Yeah. I still get a sense that that's wider than just Canada, though.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's a global.
And I think it's way
pandemic.
worse in other places. Yeah. Like the statistics would run drastically higher in Tennessee, right?
Yeah. There's the common wisdom when you're doing stand-up comedy is that it takes you 10 years, right, to get good at what you're doing. And the reason why I say this is because people who do instant overnight success on social media, they typically don't have the skill set to capitalize on their gains. The classic example that I use is Trey Crowder, the liberal redneck, right? So he was doing comedy for a short period of time, which is like maybe 5 years or so, seriously. And he got a viral hit, but he had the skill set. He had the depth of ability, the depth of skills to be able to capitalize on that. So he had a book out. He has a comedy tour with two of his buddies. There's been a lot of people who get viral hits and just don't have what it takes to survive, and thrive.
And
look at what happened look at what happened with Steve Hofstetter. You know about him and how his career went from median to exciting overnight with one viral hit, and he just kept producing content that was in line with that, and then branched out from there, and now has a tremendous career in comedy. And is back touring again, as you mentioned the other day. Yeah. Sorry, Sammy.
No, it's just it's interesting how what I want to say one hit wonders, but these ones that they'll get a viral video and they'll just try and keep re-emulating that same thing, and
Yeah.
that's their bit.
Yeah.
That's their shtick, but they're still there and they're still popular. But you're scrolling through the shorts, and every one of their things, it's
Yeah.
the exact same prank or the same thing that they got viral for.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how it lasts.
Well, it's the old adage, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you look at the music industry, there is a template of what they know will or will not go top 40 with about a 98% accuracy. People don't make music outside of that when they're trying to make money. When they're trying to be creative, when they're trying to make music that they like for their purpose, they make entirely different music.
D Parks, I just want to read what D said. One of my kids, when she was 12 or so, wanted to be a YouTuber. I sat her down and explained that 10 years ago, that wasn't a thing. And 10 years from now, it won't be a thing. Yeah, well, that's a good point, is that different social media platforms become popular and then sometimes wane, like you say, like MySpace. I remember when MySpace came out, right? Being an old dude, I'll say MySpace. I wasn't on MySpace. I had a friend of mine explain to me what MySpace was, and I thought it was idiotic. But that's gone. YouTube, I mean, yeah, it's really popular.
I was never on MySpace, and I'm not entirely sure what it was.
it was pre-Facebook.
I didn't understand it. I tried to sign up and just couldn't do it.
Are either of you on Instagram?
Oh, yeah, I'm on the gram. Yeah.
I have Instagram, but I think I've posted 5 photos on it in about 5 years.
Yeah, actually, yes, Sam. Yeah, actually, we follow each other, Sam, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
And are either of you on TikTok?
Only minorly. There's just so many social media platforms I can be on.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of videos on TikTok, but it's a grind, to tell you the truth. It is a grind and anyone who does this, who's in this space, knows that working all the social media while creating good content and living a life outside of this, it's a hard lift to do.
It is. And people don't understand that in Canada we have 30 million people, and 1 million of them are posting on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, like all of these social media platforms.
Yeah.
They're posting a video, they're clipping the video and putting it on TikTok. They're putting images of the videos and links elsewhere. They've got a full day of Facebook. The only way you get followers and stuff is by interacting with them.
Oh yeah, that's
when you're at the small level. Yep. So if somebody sends you a message or a like or something like that, or makes a comment, when you start interacting with them, they start interacting with you. And it's really difficult to build your base. But there's 100,000 people living in their parents' basement doing this. Your chances of success at this are about your chances of becoming the first 55-year-old astronaut.
I'm still holding out, Dave. So
if they're looking for people to go to Mars,
buddy,
come back, I'm in, right?
Yeah. I've been doing this. I've been doing this for such a long time that, and this is going to sound kind of dickish of me. It's like when I meet a brand new YouTuber, it's like, do I need to learn your name? I don't know. Are you going to be here in 5 years? Okay, so I know certain people's names because they're really cool people and I like the work that they do. But there is a definite lag in the, hi, I have a new site, or I have a new YouTube channel, or I have new atheist Instagram. And it's like, well, all right, you're on the radar, but I don't know if I'm going to learn your name.
But that's the thing, is there's so many kids out there who that thought process that you and I go through as to how demanding is this going to be on our time, how annoying is this going to be to see every day and manage and do. They don't care.
Yeah,
they want 1,000 likes. They want to get to monetization. They want to get to a certain level. They want to have more friends than their friends do, and they just don't care. liking and sharing to them is like waving at someone across the street. That's how it's done.
Yeah. Well, when you're, I'll be honest. No one should go. Not many people. To go into entertainment, I think you have to have some kind of logical fallacy running around your head that you don't understand the numbers, right? If you're going to go, no, it's true. It's true. If you're saying that I'm going to be a stand-up comedian, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be a director, and you look at the numbers, I mean, there's a good chance you're slinging coffee for a good period of time,
And the music industry is like that as well.
Yeah. So you have to be somewhat irrational, I think.
Well, you have to be passionate for sure.
Well, that's irrationality, my friend.
No, I think if you have a great job, or if you have wealthy parents, or if you are in a situation where your expenses are very low and you're making enough doing it to get by, then you can gear your career. If you're smart enough, you can gear your career in the direction where you are creating music that will become increasingly popular, right? If you build a following and you ebb and flow with the direction of what the music is doing this year, who's the most popular person. And honestly, that whole time period where there was like a rap break in the middle of a song by some person who's not in the band.
Yes.
Or where the band actually calls out their own name in the first line or the last line of the song.
Yeah.
These things to me are lowest common denominator. They are just chumming the water. They are garbage music to me.
What has transformed my understanding.
Jason Derulo.
What has transformed my understanding of rap, and I'll say this: Dale McGowan's been on the channel a number of times. He teaches, I think, music theory over in Georgia in the Atlanta area. And he's also the channel head. He also is my boss over Pathos Non-Religious. He did a great episode of his podcast, How Music Does That, about rap. And it transformed the way that I look at it. It's similar to the way that certain shows that I've seen, Simon Sharma's shows on the power of art, transformed the way how I see modern art too. So if anyone ever wants to understand rap better or hip hop better, then I recommend Dale McGowan's the How Music Does That, in one of his episodes. It's exceptional. Yeah. And you know what Count Basie said? Count Basie's had this quote about music is that if it sounds good, then it's good. And if a certain portion of people think it sounds good, then I guess that means it's good in some way.
That's like that quote from Ice-T in the Rick and Morty episode. Over-processed, under-processed, doesn't matter. Bad song is a bad song.
Well, the formula for a song, for a popular song, from what I understand, you start off with the chorus, you go in with the first verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, hey, Rage says hip hop is the only good music. Bold, Rage, bold. What I really tried. So Corey Ryan Forsyth, I mentioned this story a bunch of times. He was on the channel. We were talking, and he's a comedian from Marjorie Taylor Greene's congressional district. And I tried to remember what he says when he encounters art he doesn't like. It's just because I don't like it doesn't mean I have to shit on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I try to hold that in. But it's difficult for me.
Oh, I say that all the time.
You're gonna shit on art you do like, and you got to shit on something.
You got to shit on something, Sammy. You're right. Ow. You got to shit on something.
Oh, jeez.
So make it something you don't like.
Right. Well, that's a good corollary.
You're rarely ever going to be passionate about shitting on something you do like.
Yeah. That is true. So, yeah. What were you going to say, Dave?
Did you say hi to everybody in the chat already? Or
I think I said hello to various people, but I got on this kind of mini rant about art and virality, and but everyone, hello everyone, right? I know I'm not
all
as
the shiny happy people.
Shiny happy people, right?
Auto tuners.
So what Andy is saying, aim for the career as a barista and you won't be disappointed. I will say this is that, my youngest is about to go to art camp for a couple of weeks. And
Art camp?
Art camp, right, at a local art college. Hey,
Oh, a college age art camp.
well,
Do you think there's going to be any art going on at this camp? Are you trying not to think about that?
So Sam,
are you saying body painting?
All right, so now I have to talk, and now I have to think about what I can say about this and what I can't say about this. So my kid is in high school, and she is going to this, overnight camp for like 3 weeks to learn art at a pretty decent art school here in Massachusetts. For various reasons, I'm not that concerned about what she does. And I can't get into it any more than that. I have a comedy routine about it that I have to clear through her. Because because I think that I have a statute of limitations about what I can make fun of, what I can poke fun at, previous relationships, sure. Potentially situations at past jobs. If it was from a long time ago, sure, maybe I can do something like that. But my kid's going to be with me until the day they put me in the ground. So I don't want to piss her off too much.
Now, I'd like to investigate this statute of limitations and what we were recently talking about with social media. Because when you work at somewhere long enough, you become friends with those people, and some of those people become friends on Facebook. And that would restrict one's ability to satirically enhance a story about a previous employment situation.
Right. Well, luckily, and I'm glad that you mentioned this, Dave, because luckily I've worked in such fields that I don't have to enhance a lot of stories. I was at this interview yesterday, and they asked me about what was one of my most proud moments working. I said, well, I gave someone a Heimlich maneuver, and it worked. I did it twice, but the most recent one was only like less than a year ago, and it worked magically, and I went, kind of without, giving names or anything like that. But yeah, these things work. So yeah, a lot of my stories, there isn't much enhancement. and to tell you the truth, I'm always skeptical when most of the jobs I do.
Sorry about that.
Okay. As long as it isn't me, but the voices in my head saying those things, Dave.
I know, right? Yeah.
So, yeah. So most of the jobs I've had with coworkers, I haven't been exceptionally chummy with, I don't have a lot of interaction with them because I've been doing these overnight jobs, right? Most of the time, people don't hear from me or know I even exist until there's an emergency at 1 o'clock in the morning and I have to call up the on-call. And usually I go, hi, I'm sorry to bother you, blah, blah, blah. And then like if I take this job, I'll probably, I might do it's a pretty liberal environment. With that being said, I don't think I'm going to go full balls in and tell them.
Not on day one, no.
Not on day one. No,
yeah.
No, not on day one.
Do you have cards you can hand out with your like YouTube stream link and stuff like that? Like, hey, if you're interested, here's where I'm at. Like
that would make sense, Dave. That would make sense. When I was trying to sell scripts, I had these cards made up, right? But they opened up like a script would, right? They're really clever cards, if I do say so myself.
I only see one problem with that card.
Tell me.
It can be closed.
Right. But it has a really cool image on the front, and then yeah. The thing
Dave is clearly not on the spectrum.
Really.
Jeez. Sorry, you were saying when you were giving away these scripts, you were writing movie scripts or sitcoms?
Yeah. There was a while I was going to Pitch Fest and everything like that out in California and trying to sell something. I got an offer. I got an offer to work for a company for Road Pictures, but I was a dad, and so I couldn't trust my then wife to be with my young children alone 3,000 miles away. So it's like, you don't want my script? It's like, no, we want you. It's like, you don't want the script? No, we want you. Yeah, that's a problem.
So are you currently passing off some of your writings to other content creators that are, exploiting them to their maximum?
Well, am I exploiting anything to my max? Dave, come on. Haven't you seen what I do here on the show? I don't exploit anything to my maximum.
Tell that to the frog sitting on your shoulder.
Oh, the frog is pretty cool. I don't know if I've showed you these guys either. These are my new favorite. These are
Moses and
yeah. We got this is supposed to be Plato, but of course I'm using him as God. So this is one. This is Schrodinger's cat right here.
Nice. Well, this may or may not be Schrodinger's cat.
Well, he was billed. He came, and I'm going to say the cat came with a little tag that says Schrodinger's cat. So this is actually supposed to be Schrodinger's cat. We have Bernie Sanders right here.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, the Nazarene.
That
right
looks
here.
like white Jesus.
It does. Well, this is white Jesus, yeah, because you have white, and of course Karl Marx right here. So I still have yet to use it effectively.
Karl Marx is, of course, the father of communism. Is that how he's portrayed?
No, the Communist Manifesto, Das Kapital, his 900-page book on capitalism. Yeah. So.
Have you written your own manifesto yet?
I think that's just another small slide into insanity, Dave.
Oh, yeah, for sure it is. Yeah.
I start using my monkey fists and start hitting the keys about the manifesto. I think that's just.
Can I just say in the chat, good looking honky, pics or it didn't happen.
Oh no.
Not here. Not here. Not in Andy's stream.
Not in Andy's stream, right?
Fictitious God.
So I don't really do anything. When I write something serious, I'll post it on my Medium page, my profile on Medium, or I'll throw it up on the blog too. But most of my creative energy is spent on doing this, doing the blog, and thinking about using finger puppets, everyone.
I think Medium was actually rated number 2 behind Parler for misinformation.
Yes, dude. There's no editorial process behind that.
Yeah.
And I can't talk about the thing I really want to talk about right now, but I'll talk about it in September.
Cool.
Maybe, so yeah, but Medium is I've been on Medium, and there's no quality control there besides social proof, and that's not quality control.
And then you get branded as social justice warrior and everybody hates you.
Well, I think social justice warrior is now being turned into being woke. That seems to be the new the new third rail. It was social justice warrior maybe, especially like 10 years ago, and now it's definitely being accused of being woke.
Yeah. So you have multiple, like when you put something together, you go through that decision-making process. Am I going to write about this? Am I going to video stream about this? Am I going to put a video together? Am I going to share this with Jack on Sunday night? Am I going to?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some things just work better on some platforms than others. If there's a bit that I can easily do on video, then I'll do that. Like the Bible verses destroying America. That first was a blog post. And then I thought, hey, I can definitely do this as a video and do it kind of well too. So there's definitely an interaction between the two.
And your today thing was what was it? The 3
worst Bible-based sitcoms.
That's what it was. Yes.
So I thought it was funny. It was on my blog, Laughing in Disbelief, everyone, on Pathos Non-Religious. But it was the 3 worst Bible-based, like the Big Bang Theory, but a biblical slant on that, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 Broke Girls, the biblical Old Testament slant on that. I don't want to ask Sammy what he's trying to share with us because he's off screen.
It's not bad. It's something you said in your stream tonight about it needing a pile of dead bodies to convince some people. Well, I just want to remind everyone of this news report from, I think, November.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, dude, I remember this. Go ahead. Play that. I know the
Yeah.
story.
When I read some of your tweets, my jaw dropped. You said that even now, that the hospital is being overrun with COVID patients. They come in, they're horribly ill, they're gasping for breath, and yet they don't believe they have COVID.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing to watch is that people are still looking for something else and they want a magic answer and they don't want to believe that COVID is real. And the reason I tweeted what I did is it wasn't one particular patient, it's just a culmination of so many people. And their last dying words are, this can't be happening, it's not real. And when they should be spending time FaceTiming their families, they're filled with anger and hatred, and it just made me really sad the other night. And I just can't believe that those are going to be their last thoughts and words.
Yeah. Well, so there are two thoughts I have. I saw the video. Actually, I made a short based on that, like when it first came out, Sammy, because I thought it was so insane that people are literally dying from COVID. The doctors are telling them that, hey, you're dying from COVID. And they're like, it's just as dangerous as the flu, or something crazy like that.
They're like, yeah, it's a hard pass on that. Thanks, Doc.
Yeah.
Like it's an option.
I will say once again, and I mentioned this in the show, is that if the mortality rate was higher, like Black Death level kind of mortality rates, people would be forced to get the vaccine because there just wouldn't be any bullshitting around.
Well, there is social pressure, and I wanted to mention this. Like, I think I've mentioned this before. At my work, if we're sitting around talking about, oh, when are you getting your second vaccine? When are you whatever? If somebody says, oh, I haven't got my first one yet, everybody kind of leans back and says, what's the deal?
Yeah.
And if they say something like, well, I just haven't had time, I have kids and blah, 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 second job, running a business, whatever. It's like, you really need to sort your shit out because you're in communication with a lot of people and you're putting all of us at risk. So it's time to wake the fuck up and get your arm stabbed, right?
Yeah.
But there are people who are science deniers, and there are very few. Less than 1% of the people I work with don't have their first vaccination. So these are very, very, very small numbers where I am. Specifically, Vancouver is it's just the way we are here. But when we run across somebody who says, oh, it's all a hoax and I'm not getting vaccinated, I don't want to, risk it because, it's just going to make me sicker or something like that. People just stop talking to them.
Yeah.
There's no point in talking to this person about anything because if your logic brings you to that position, then you're not worthy of a conversation with this group. I haven't talked about this before, but yeah, one of my friends, and I've known him since high school, and he's conservative, and he hasn't gotten the jab, and he actually had COVID months ago, but it was asymptomatic, basically COVID, and so he just refuses to get the jab, and it's like, so I've had to personally distance myself from him, and it's very painful, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I have other emotions besides, anger and sleepiness and hunger. Are those emotions? I think they are, all of them. But yeah, so it has been a. Hunger is an emotion.
Sure it is. Sure it is.
I think cranky is an emotion associated with hunger.
Rage says in America, 40% of the country thinks that the Earth is 6,000 years old. Think that science denial is a bit higher here. Yeah, I think so.
I heard a number recently that said that was actually in recent surveys was getting closer to 35%, but it's still atrocious. Yeah. It's
still atrocious. I was actually listening to the Mark Maron podcast, WTF, and he had Quentin Tarantino on, and this puts things in a historical perspective in terms of people believing stupid shit, right? So they were both talking about Paul McCartney being dead, right? Paul McCartney, remember that, for those of you who are old enough or who know the history of the Beatles, that there was once upon a time people.
He was in the Beatles? I thought he was in Wings.
Yeah. But there was this urban legend that Paul McCartney was dead, And,
Yeah.
and I think it was Tarantino who was saying, yeah, everyone. Yeah, I can't do a Tarantino, right? Because I'm not that I can't do his mannerisms. But it's like, yeah, everyone thought he was dead. It's like everyone thought Paul McCartney was dead.
I know how good the fucking coffee is in my kitchen, okay? I fucking bought it. When Bunny goes shopping, she buys shit. When I go shopping, I like to buy the gourmet expensive shit because when I drink it, I want to fucking taste it.
You know, I just realized that, Andy, you're way over there on the East Coast. And I'm like way over here on the West Coast. Like I can walk to the water from here.
Oh, yeah.
And
I can walk to the water from here, too.
Right. And Sammy is in Australia, which would be the like other point on the triangle. So we could actually, there is a triangulation of white guys here. We could call ourselves the Guymuta Triangle.
The Guymuta Triangle. Let me run that past the marketing department for a second, Dave.
Literally a second.
I'm sorry, Dave. It got voted down.
It is the triangle within which all common sense is lost.
Rage says, love Tarantino, but I was wondering about that too. But he messed up calling out Bruce Lee. But yeah, I don't know why he did that. But Tarantino does what Tarantino does.
Yeah.
I actually missed that. What did he do about Bruce Lee?
That was in I think his most recent movie, The Hollywood. I forget the full name of the film, but there was a moment that Bruce Lee is basically talking smack and gets into a fist fight or a sparring match with Brad Pitt's character. And Brad Pitt's character lays him on his ass, I believe. And I forget, it's Hollywood Ending or something like that. It has something to do with Child's Man. I don't want to give away too much of the movie.
I often wonder if, like, every single one of these actors has an agent, has a press agent, has a publicity stunt director, has these people that work with them. Mm-hmm. And you wonder if they're sitting around a table saying, we haven't been in the media in 48 hours, we have to say something. Or they say something and it doesn't get a reaction that they like. Mm. And they're like, okay, it's been 6 days since we've been relevant on social media. Say something hyperbolic. And I think that's how I'm guessing that's how Kevin Sorbo got to where he is, because he's now relevant where he would have been invisible. And I don't know that is the primary motivating factor. It might have been like, what can we say that he would agree with that is so hyperbolic it'll get front page news? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a part of the process, and it kind of rolls back into that popularity, right? Like, how do I stay popular? How do I maintain my likes and views?
For the years that I covered Trump, right? One of the things that Trump does, even when he knows he's running, like he knows he's not going to win probably any kind of lawsuit, any of the lawsuits against social media platforms, but he does it just to hype up, just to keep his name in the news.
And does that explain like these Jake Pauls or Logan Paul or whoever the hell they are?
Yeah.
That I learn about them and know them as one thing, but then I discover that they were this before that, and it's like they become irrelevant in what they're doing, so they go into something else. Like Logan Paul's went into boxing, and that brought him back into popularity again.
Sure,
because he actually lost a lot of popularity and was seen as a scumbag. He still is a scumbag in my opinion, but he got so much more popularity after going into this boxing.
Yep, this is true.
And he'll go to the next thing,
Well, there's two principles at play. They call it the social media pivot and the social media ladder, right? So when you're laddering, you're starting off very broad and you're finding what works, and you're using one of those steps to move forward, and then using what is on that step that is the most popular to move forward again and forward again and forward again. And you'll get to a point where that is burned out and you do have to pivot. And you have to look back at what did I do before that I can do now that would be, fresh, essentially. What would be a new look? What would gain the interest? And what is everybody else doing that I can also do that is the most popular videos, the most popular content right now, right? And there are management groups out there studying this by the minute.
Mm.
Yeah.
I just want to say something. Read what Rage had to say about Bruce Lee. He called out Bruce Lee for not having respect for stuntmen. Bruce Lee would tap his stuntmen, hitting them and kicking them because he was a dick. Interesting. I did not know that.
What does he mean, tap?
Maybe tap.
Instead of...
I think he means instead of pull his punches, he would actually hit them.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a dick move if you're in a fight scene. I think you discuss that beforehand.
As a person who, and once again, my film experience is very minor, but having filmed shitty fight scenes before or action scenes, there are ways that you won't be on a set without hearing someone like the DP, the director of photography, or the director saying, "We're just going to cheat this so that it looks like you're hitting the dude or hitting the other person, but in all reality, you are very far away." And you can still do a realistic fight scene without hitting anyone.
With camera angles and lighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found a package of crack in my pillow. Oh, does he mean my pillow?
My
or his pillow?
The capital M.
Yeah.
It's part of the Mike Lindell system. Rage says the problem is that you didn't discuss it beforehand, and this is known about him and has been a criticism since he was alive. After he died, he went away. Interesting, Rage. Thanks for sharing that.
Fight scenes are a difficult thing to do, and a difficult thing to do well. And stuntmen are incredible at what they do. My sister used to date a guy who, I think I mentioned this before too, but he did the SWAT teams. So when local film companies wanted to film like 8 guys busting out of a van and surrounding a building, they studied all of the SWAT techniques and had consultants who had worked in the military before, and some of these guys were ex-military. And they uniformed up in the same uniforms, and they had the Velcro on the side so it could say SWAT or NYPD or whatever they needed, FBI, whatever they did. They put a new badge on and go do another movie. It's all the same guys, and they wear those masks so that they get paid as essentially as extras.
Right.
With a little bit more for the consulting and skill. But yeah.
Sure. I forget what I was going to say to Cryptomeria because now John Hudson's thrown me.
Cryptomeria said, I could eat a hot dog or a cucumber on my YouTube and I would get, yes, that is the nature of the marketplace, unfortunately.
Hey, you want to watch me eat a banana?
I could do a whole channel about my weird right foot probably, and people would be, it would be more popular than what I'm doing here.
Well, I don't know that it would be more popular.
But it'd be much more fervent.
It would probably be more likely to go viral because now this is another thing that we've kind of skimmed over. It's all in that cloud of information that we've been talking about. But The Simpsons is a very popular show.
Yeah.
Because you can shut your brain off and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to think about it. There isn't a lot of callbacks. There isn't a lot of scientific information. They skim over a lot of garbage, and they lowest common denominator everything in the dialogue. You can shut yourself off and just sit down and get a few chuckles out of it. Yeah. So there is social media content that you literally can shut your brain off, watch it, and chuckle. Yeah. And it gets a ton of attraction. It gets a ton of virality in it. So I'm sure that your foot would get you there, but it might be a single spike in your attention grabbing sphere.
So that means I'd have to pivot to something else, Dave.
But go up that ladder. Here's a little pedicure video for y'all. Here's a little.
Right. I'm talking about stuntmen. You know, my buddy from high school, one of my friends from high school, he was the head knight at a Renaissance fair, a traveling Renaissance fair, King Richard's Fair. And I was hanging out with him one time after a show, and hadn't seen him for years. And he just talked about, and even though, of course, it's all quote unquote fake, much like, you know, professional wrestling, it's fake. All the storylines are predetermined, more or less, but people still get fucked up. You know, my buddy talked, you know, my buddy was like fucking riding a horse with a lance and smacking the crap out of people when he wasn't doing that, smacking the crap out of people with a sword, you know, shield. And, you know, so he's been sent to the hospital a number of times just because things got out of hand and mistakes get made.
Yeah. I mean, you look at professional sports, and over the last 10 or 15 years, there's been a huge movement into preparing those people for post-sports life.
Yeah.
A lot of them, you see guys out there in the community, and these people who played hockey for 10 plus years, who played football for 8 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
They are a mess when you see them at 60. Their quality of life has been fractured by their participation at such a high level of sports.
Yeah. So that could be for a variety of different reasons, right? It could be because you get your brain injuries, right? Your CTEs from, you know, these kind of, you know, just getting banged in the head so many times. Yeah. And then you have these injuries that you kind of walk off in your 30s or in your 20s. And then suddenly you realize that you're getting arthritis, or that the same injury that you could walk off, it's still there with you in your body. And then, you know, it just keeps getting worse into your 60s.
And Rage mentioned wrestling, right. The WWE and those guys. They are, not only are they bodybuilders, right, but they are also performance artists.
Yeah.
And the toil that business takes on their body. If you've seen Ric Flair lately, he looks like he's 90.
Well, you hear about Mankind, right? You know, Nick Foley, yeah, and the injuries that he's suffered and the cognitive issues that he has. It's scary. That's what it is.
Well, he's been smashed on the head by a chair that has busted him open, 200 times?
Yeah. It's
that's not good.
It's insane, isn't it? 10,000 likes right here, Andy. Ready?
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Bubblegum.
I was gonna say, if that was a ball and you could put it like in your mouth and have it come up through your nose, now that might get us 10,000 likes right there.
Here's what we do. We do a video for the next Friday, or for the next Friday morning show that you do. Mm-hmm. We just do a stream and we record it, and we have somebody eating a cucumber, somebody eating a popsicle, somebody eating a banana, all tubular food, a hot dog, and we just simultaneously eat them on screen.
We're silent, so the screen starts. No one says anything, because if you've ever watched these bizarre ASMR things, there's no talking. Or if there is, it's like just to describe what they're about to eat. It's like,
well, you know, there's something called I'm working on a comedy script with a buddy of mine. I'm going to film it, and a part of it has to do. This is Schrodinger's cat, everyone, by the way. Just going back, but there's something called mukbang, right? Mukbang is, and people might already know what mukbang is. It's extreme eating. And it can just be anything. Basically, you just eat like 20,000 calories in one sitting. And
where they're just shoveling in really noisy, moist food. Yeah,
and
lots of slurping
and so that's a way to get famous on YouTube too.
Yeah, if you want to watch something that will turn your head sideways and make one of your ears stand up like a puppy dog looking at something odd, look into feederism and belly stuffing.
What are we talking about, Dave? What am I looking at?
Feederism.
Feederism.
and belly stuffing.
So okay. So okay,
Would
I'm
you
afraid
like-
of what I'll find. I'm
Would
afraid
you
of what
like me to elaborate? Do we have time?
we have 10 minutes, Dave, or a little bit under 10 minutes.
So there are people out there, male and female,
Mhm.
who start a channel when they are recently broken up with someone or recently involved with someone. And the idea of the channel is to engage an audience in watching them go from whatever weight they currently are at
Oh,
to whatever weight their target weight might be.
okay.
And some of these people are aiming for 400 pounds. So they eat on camera 5 times a day.
So explain it to Jesus and God here, right? So these people just broke up with someone and they want to put on weight. That seems to be anti-intuitive.
Well, it depends. It depends. Like,
On?
Right. The psychiatric diagnosis. I mean, is that what you're trying to tell me?
imagine they were in a relationship with someone who worked at a gym or someone who was a sports fanatic, and they were almost required or influenced
Okay.
to be a specific body type,
Sure.
body size,
Yep.
Okay.
reflection of the person they're with, right?
Yeah.
And when they broke up with that person, they were like, F this, I'm going back to the way I was. I'm going back to what makes me happy.
So they've
I
given
want-
up. That's what you're saying.
Are we looking at your belly?
Sorry, possibly.
He's wearing pants. That's a good
No,
thing.
that's good.
It's-
That's
yeah.
we're all thankful for that.
The other thing was belly stuffing, and there are. What are you eating? Stop that.
Sorry.
That's ASMR. Is that what we're doing here?
The belly stuffing.
ASMR cigarette rolling.
Oh,
Let me mute.
Okay.
the belly stuffing thing is a whole different world, and that is almost in the realm of pregnancy fetish, where women will like drink a Diet Coke and eat Mentos until their belly expands, or drink water. And
I have a story about pregnancy, and it's a bit, and it's about my ex-wife, and it's totally fucking true. And the statute of limitations are way gone on this. First,
Use
let
the
me just
puppets. Use the puppets.
let me just tell you this: is that yes, I am working on a gay porn between Jesus puppet here and God puppet. So there'll be some kind of gay porn between these two puppets at some point on this channel. I'm
does
just
that
teasing.
also count as self-care because they are part of the Trinity? And would it essentially be masturbation?
Well, that would be one of the jokes. Right?
Well,
Oh, okay.
or we could go a little darker and say it's incest.
For sure it is. Yeah,
You
yeah.
could. So okay, so my wife was pregnant with our first, and up until that point, that I had stated, that, we've had conversations that I do not have problems with having intercourse with women who are pregnant. It's not a big thing for me, but I don't have a problem with that. And things went around brilliantly up until a certain point it was a certain point to the pregnancy, right? Where I'm like, nah, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think you can do this anymore. And she goes to me, well, why? Why? Because you've been talking about that you don't have a problem with this, about having sex with me when I'm pregnant. Or it's like, well, this is what I figured out. I figured out that I don't have a problem with having sex with women in general who are pregnant. And this is how it's like, how I feel. It's like, I feel like I'm going to my neighbor's house and I'm vandalizing his house, right? When it's just somebody else. See, Sammy knows what I'm talking about here. So the thing is, if I'm having sex with you in your state, I feel like I'm vandalizing my own house. And that just doesn't work for me. And she just looked at me like I was crazy. And that's probably true, to tell you the truth. It is
You're muted.
Never thought.
Yeah,
about
no, I was someone who's had 3 kids. There is a point. It's fine up to a point where I think you just can't ignore it.
You can't ignore
anymore.
it, man. You cannot ignore it.
I don't
It's
know.
like, man, I'm gonna poke the poor thing in the head or something.
Yeah.
Like this just needs to stop for a
But
little
the
while.
doctor says it's okay. It's like, I don't care. Jesus.
The doctor's
God,
not doing it.
The
I'm the one
doctor's
doing
not
it.
doing it. Exactly.
I have always I've always looked at it from the perspective of, well, she ain't getting pregnant.
Yes. disturbing bits there. Okay. So, what do you guys going on this? What do you guys have going on this weekend? You guys got anything important or interesting? Jesus and God want to know.
No.
No.
I always have stuff going on.
You're working. You're always possibly working, right? And you're getting ready to drive big vehicles on the dock, right?
Well, I'm still the dock got shut down for some maintenance.
No.
And one of the ships that came in got quarantined and moved. And then the rail bridges in British Columbia that all of our rail goes across Canada on got burnt down in those fires up in Lytton.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's not a lot of work right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it looks like it'll come back around the 13th. But in the meantime, I'm doing house stuff. I was looking at another place the other day.
Cool.
It had great amenities, and it was a townhome complex, and it had, enough square feet and the whole thing, but it was in a very family-oriented community. And the actual location of the place was in very close proximity to the playground and the play field for the children, which meant there was going to be a lot of childlike noises.
Yeah.
And it was more family oriented than I was prepared to deal with, and not very privacy oriented. So
that's a problem. Yeah. Dude. I just want to say something about what Chris Maria said. Some of them that I've talked to suffered big emotional events, and eating is a way to insulate themselves from the world. This is one of the themes that I see when I've been working with people with disabilities, and there's an echo, and I don't know why. Is it me?
I'll mute. Go.
Okay. So the thing is, when you don't feel like you have agency, when you do not feel like you have control over your own life, that will manifest in different ways. And one of the ways is by eating, right? Either by eating a lot or not eating at all. So if you feel like you don't have control over your life, then I can definitely see why that would manifest itself with food. I can definitely see that. And sometimes this lack of agency, this lack of control can occur with like having too much stuff in your home too. I've seen that.
I was going to say, this isn't the only symptom of that problem. There's many of them out there.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things. The whole idea of mental health is health.
Yeah.
It needs to be spread much, much broader and much, much earlier in our lives, so that the next generation picks up those cues, right? The next generation says, I don't think Dave's doing really well because whatever has changed, or I was over at his place and it's getting weird over there, or something like that, right? We need to be more in line with, well, obviously in the United States, you don't have public health care, but in Canada, we can walk into somebody's home and say, this person needs some help. I'm going to do something, right?
Yeah. All right. On that note, I'm going to have to put a bow on this show. What is that's
my fancy new van.
Oh, congratulations on that, huh?
Watch the ramp. It's all automatic. You just pull the handle.
That is
and
pretty
the door opens and the ramp pops out.
And when you're inside in the back seat, you push a button and the door closes for you. Yeah.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Nice. Congratulations on that, Sam. All right. Thanks, chat.
Andy, you're doing Sunday. Are you doing anything else between now and then?
I'm going up to see my mom over the weekend, so it's going to be crazy.
Oh, I meant online stuff for people to watch.
There'll be jokes. There'll be jokes on my Twitter and Facebook, and I doubt anything on Saturday on the channel. But yeah, you'll see me back again on Sunday.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends about Andy's channel and his wonderful after shows.
Right. Karl Marx thinks so. Thinks you're right.
Woo! Woo!
All right. Take care, everyone.
All right.